Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, there are certain battles in life that are fought not for the victory but for the battle itself. Those sort of battles are never ending battles because the sole purpose of that battle is the battle itself, so it never ends. So one of those types of battles is the battle between the Yorubas and the Igbos. So that never ending battle between the Yorubas and the Igbos carries on, and here is the latest installment in that battle. So guys, I bring you this. Chinua Achebe's works of literature are far more superior than Wole Soyinka's, and this is according to Reno Omokri. So that's Reno Omokri saying this. So he goes on to say, between Chinua Achebe and Professor Wole Soyinka, I would give the Nobel Prize for Literature to Achebe 100 times out of 100 times. I still don't understand how Soyinka got it and Achebe did not. I read their books. Achebe's works are by far the more superior works of literature. So this is what Reno Omokri tweeted out on his Twitter handle, and it's the latest salvo yet again in this never-ending battle between the Yorubas and the Igbos. So this is a thing that's been going on pretty much since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. It's pretty much something that's always been in the background within the Nigerian firmament. There's this constant niggle between the Igbos and the Yorubas. A real resentment, I think, really from the Igbos particularly towards the Yorubas, and the Igbos seems to have that resentment especially towards the Yorubas above all else. They have a resentment, they have some sort of contempt, they have a deep set dislike, and this is just the feel that you get sometimes. I'm not saying this is gospel, and I am not saying this applies to all Igbo people, but this is certainly something that just so like simmers in the background always within that Nigerian space, because there are all sorts of little skirmishes in Nigeria, and this is one of the major skirmishes that is in the background of that country. And this is really why we're not able to rescue ourselves from the Fulanis, because already we're divided, and an Igbo person would rather a Fulani than a Yoruba man any day of the week, and a Yoruba man would rather a Fulani than an Igbo man any day of the week, and the Fulani will just continue to take advantage of that for as long as that remains the case. So now we have somebody of note, somebody with a name recognition like Reno Omokri coming out to make this statement. Now this statement is just a commentary on literature, and is stating his views on how he views literature and who he felt that the Nobel Prize should have gone to. So he's giving his subjective view that he feels that Chinua Achebe's works are far more superior than Wole Soyinka's, and that is a subjective view, and that is a view that is entitled to, and he has not said anything outside of what I just read out to you, that he feels that the Nobel Prize should have gone to Chinua Achebe instead of Wole Soyinka. So he did not say anything outside of that, but because of the background to that, because of the back history to that, because of the relationship, the complexities between the Igbos and the Yorubas, you have to really bring elements of that into this comment, because it's often the case that when an Igbo person sees an opportunity to give a Yoruba man a kicking, he will gleefully and gladfully do it, and when the Yoruba man sees an opportunity to kick an Igbo man, he will gleefully and gladly do it. So this is something that is always there, and this really is a coded thing that references that in my reading. So this is the reading I'm putting into this comments that Reno Omokri has made. Now a lot of you will say it's an innocent comment, and there's a understanding that it might well be an innocent comment because he has not actually said anything outside of what he has said, but as I said, because of the back history of the two people involved, the Yorubas and the Igbos, you have to bring elements of that into it. And this thing really, this skirmish between the, I was going to call it a little skirmish, but it's not a little skirmish, it's a big skirmish. This skirmish between the Igbos and the Yorubas goes back a long time. A lot of people date it back to the Civil War, but it dates a lot further back than that. So a lot of people attribute it to the Civil War, Awolowo War, the betrayal that the Igbos felt that came in that direction from the Yorubas, that the Yorubas should have backed them and then would have split up the country and we would not be in the mess that we are in now. And that view I actually agree with, because if Awolowo had done the right thing then and he had supported that war, the Nigerian space would have been split up now, would be in the Yoruba Republic now, they'll be in their Biafra now, and the Fulanis will be doing their own thing and everybody will be fine. But really they forced it through and it's gone through. But really that war between the Biafrans and the Nigerian state was actually between the Biafrans and the Nigerian state, not the Yorubas. So I don't know why particularly the Yorubas has been singled out by the Igbos to attribute the blames of that war too, because the lead for that war on the Nigerian side was actually Gowon, an Hausa man, and the lead for the war on the Biafran side was Ojukwu, an Igbo man. So the middleman was really the Yoruba man. So because really, maybe because it was the brain of Awolowo that won the war, and they are saying, oh, why would you lend them your brain? Because they don't have a brain and we could have beaten them. But it was really the brain of Awolowo that won that war, and I think really that's the thing that the Igbos are holding on to, that you used your brain to help these people to defeat us. So this is really where I feel personally that beef is coming from. But really there's a lot more complexity to it than that, because Awolowo also saw the possibilities of a Nigerian state and was thinking after the war obviously things can come together and he can rebuild the country. But of course Awolowo then fell prey to the Fulanis, who he thought he was cleverer than, but then the Fulanis got their own way, so who's clever now? So it's a whole complex thing. But then this whole complex thing is now dating back 40 odd years ago now. So when is enough and when is time up on something? So as I said, this battle between the Yorubas and the Igbos is a battle for the sake of that battle itself, because the reasons for the battles date so far back now, and the things that have happened subsequently have been so vast and many that I do not see why people still cling on to that battle. So it's a battle for its own sake effectively, and this is really what is transpiring now. And the latest salvo in that battle now is this little tweet that Reno Omokri put out to say that Achebe is superior to Wole Soyinka, because make no mistake, this is not just some innocent commentary on literature. This is not just a subjective view. This is not just a matter of taste, because if it was just a matter of taste, then that's fair enough. Everybody is entitled to their subjective view. If he feels that the works of Achebe are better than the works of Wole Soyinka from his own personal perspective, then there's really no argument to be had with that. A man is entitled to his own opinion, and if that is the opinion that he holds firm, if he holds it firm and honestly, then it's an opinion that belongs to him, and that is entirely that. There's nothing else to be said on that. But really there's an undertone to this sort of statement, because it's a statement that he has put out in the public space, and Reno Omokri is no fool, and he understands the power of his words, and he understands the space that he occupies within the Nigerian firmament, within the Nigerian consciousness, and he understands also the dichotomy and the dynamics between the not the Hausas, well, the Hausas, the Yorubas, and the Igbos. Let's put the three of them in there, and then let's remove the Hausas and then say the Yorubas and the Igbos. So he understands the dynamics between the Yorubas and the Igbos, and he understands that as an Igbo man coming out to say that Chinua Achebe's works are better than Wole Soyinka's works, it will be read by a Yoruba man as a direct affront to the Yoruba race. He is intelligent enough to understand that, because Reno Omokri is no fool. He was a top government functionary during the Goodluck Jonathan regime, and he understands the lay of the land as far as the Nigerian space is concerned. So he knows fully well that as soon as he puts out this statement, it's going to be a red flag to the Yorubas to say, look at these Igbo people again, or they have come again with their nonsense. So he understood that. So why has he now put it out with that understanding? He's playing for a space within that Igbo race is effectively what I am reading into this. And he's playing for that space is the sort of space that that girl Chimamanda occupies. So he's playing for the space that Chimamanda occupies. He's playing for a space amongst the intellectuals within the Igbo race. He's playing for a space within the Igbo political dynamics, and is a coming back home sort of a statement, and is aligning himself with these people again, and he's still saying we are one, Igbo Kweno, we are one, and all that kind of stuff. There's an enyi comment, this sort of comment. That's my reading of it. Because why would somebody like Reno Omokri come out and say that Chinua Achebe is better than Wole Soyinka? Firstly, in my own personal view, Chinua Achebe is not better than Wole Soyinka. In my own personal view, Wole Soyinka is better than Chinua Achebe, and I am a Yoruba man, so that's obviously the same arguments that I've made against Reno Omokri applies to my own perspective as well. Because if I am saying that Wole Soyinka is superior to Chinua Achebe, then you can pretty much play back everything that I've said about Reno Omokri and say, okay, this applies to you too, and that's logic. I agree with that. But then Wole Soyinka won the Nobel Prize, which is the highest accolade that really anyone can get. And Nelson Mandela won the Nobel Prize, or Barack Obama won the Nobel Prize. So that's the company that Wole Soyinka is keeping. And the Nobel Prize that Wole Soyinka won is not because he was good looking, it's because of the work of his hands. And what is the work of his hands? Is literary works. So Wole Soyinka won the Nobel Prize, so that's already affirmation of a superiority right there, because it's a global recognition that is a standout person amongst not just Nigerian literary movement, but the whole of the African firmament, and is a reference point still till today. But then Chinua Achebe is also one of the marquee names of literature, not just in Nigeria, but in the whole of Africa and the whole of the world. Things Falling Apart, The Center Cannot Hold, all this kind, all of his books are masterclasses, are masterpieces. You know, the use of language, the imagery, the references to culture, the introduction to the Igbo culture that a lot of us first got. The first introduction to the Igbo culture was via Chinua Achebe through his writing. So that in itself is enough to satisfy and deify the guy. We don't have to compete him against Wole Soyinka for that superiority. But then the reason why Reno Omokri is comparing him to Wole Soyinka for that superiority is really that Igbo Yoruba thing, that never-ending battle, that need to niggle at each other. So he's now trying to niggle at the Yoruba race, and then making a rallying call to the Igbo race to say, converge, we're at them again. So what is your reading of this tweet by Reno Omokri? Am I getting it completely wrong? Am I taking it too far? Is it just an innocent tweet on his views on literature? But I don't think it is. What do you think? Conversations in the comment section. But before you come join me to have that conversation in the comment section, click on the red subscribe button so it goes gray. Click on the bell button, that way you're notified every time I drop a new video. Then come join me in the comment section. The topic of conversations are the Yoruba race, the Igbo race, Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and what Reno Omokri said. What is your view? Meet me in the comment section to carry on. So I'll leave you here, meet you there, but here I say peace.